Welcome to the Final Hour podcast, coming to you from the original Living Word Christian Center out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. We have a special guest with us today. My name is Jim Hammond, and this is Guy Leibovitz from Israel, good friend of mine for 16, 17 years. As you can see, and I'll expound on this next week, the others are not here today, right? We have Jerry producing.
Hello.
So, but the others are not here today, and I will expand on that email next week. We got an email about the others, Jerry. No offense.
Ominous.
So we'll leave you in suspense about the others. Guy Leibovitz, I have known for 16, 17 years. I'll get into, it's one of the most amazing people I know. We'll get into that. I just have to ask Guy. Guy, you traveled yesterday from Israel, 11-hour flight into New Jersey, from New Jersey to Minneapolis, flew into Minneapolis, did the Living Word Wednesday night service. Incredible response. 1,200 people watching online. 500 people were there, which is very high for our Wednesday night attendance. And I have to ask Guy, was it hard, basically flying 11 hours on a flight, New Jersey, changing planes through customs, flying into Minneapolis, getting off the plane, in essence, coming and standing in front of 500 people and speaking for an hour? Did you find your mind scrambled at all?
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit, but like maybe my body was a bit tired, but in soul, I knew that I'm in a mission to represent my country and my people, and I was so into that where I gain energy out of this kind of mission to represent what I wanted to bring to you.
Well, you certainly did a good job of that. I mean, Living Word doesn't give many standing ovations, and he got one last night. So they will tell you. They will tell you when it's excellent. I was thinking about the jet lag as I was watching Guy, and I realized, as I'm watching, I'm like, wow, who knows what he's been up since. He's probably been up 36 hours. There's something about just being on a plane that long, and so I remember flying 22 hours to Indonesia through Japan, and I had a team of 12 people. We get into Japan, fly to Singapore, get out of Singapore, jump on a boat, travel on a boat for an hour to this little island in Indonesia, get on a van, go straight to a church. It was a church in Indonesia. That particular church, I'll never forget. It was a church of prostitutes. It was in a red light district. So all the prostitutes, Jesus, he will take care of prostitutes, all right? Yep. And these prostitutes would come to church, and I'll never forget, it was around Easter, and I had to get off. I had to do what you did, do all that, and I had to do a sermon for like 15 prostitutes, and I had a team of like maybe 12 people. So I'm looking at it, and it was Easter. You know what I don't know if you've ever seen this guy, but they all came up with a little pin, and there was a cross at the front, and they'd put the pin in the cross, and when they did that, blood would drip down the cross. Oh. And then each person in the congregation would come up, put a pin, the cross would bleed, right? It was almost looked like magic. And I just thought, wow, we should try that at Living Word, right? But, all that to say, my mind is scrambled. I'm up there trying to speak. I really don't even know what I'm saying. I'm just kind of going through the motions up there trying to speak. And every single person on the team, I look out into the crowd, and it's like this. I mean, they could not keep themselves from not, or they're doing this. And so I understand all that to say, so we have to have our 7 minutes of messing around here, right? This is what people want.
We have to, yeah.
Yeah, so we've messed around for 5 here before we get serious. But listen, Guy, he never talks about this, but he was in the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, and he was in a unit called back then it was called something different, but now it'd be called the Diamond Unit. And you can look that up online. It really is amazing. It's a special operations unit. If you just look it up online, it will tell you most of the things that they do, no one ever knows about. All right. So like, obviously like our American SEALs, the Navy SEALs, some cases, the Green Berets or Delta Force, they have a lot of demolition knowledge, and a lot of guerrilla warfare, terrorism, counterterrorism type stuff. It's in a 1 year, 4 months of training, just to start working for the Diamond Unit. The Diamond Unit was the first unit. Those units were the first units into Gaza, all right, and probably did a lot of the tunnel fighting. So he would never tell you. This was late 90s, early 2000s. He served. You were a reservist for 10 years after that, also, right?
Yeah, a little bit more than that. Yeah.
Okay. And so, but he never talks about that. He runs a tour company in Israel called Aliyah. And I will tell you, don't write in. Let us contact you. If you write in, we're not going to answer you until we get the information. But there's going to be a 2024 Final Hour podcast tour from October 7th through October 16th, probably those dates, right? And we're going to finalize that. And, I'm excited. It's his tour company. It's a nonprofit tour company? You're not going to find a cheaper tour because of the fact that they're nonprofit. They're not in it so much, to make millions of dollars, right? They're in it to bring people. Their vision is to get as many people into the nation of Israel as they can. They would like to see it. Do you want to expound on that at all?
Yeah, I'm a tour guide.
Yes.
And I'm taking people through the land, and I see what's the impact, what's the effect of those people walking with the Bible in one hand in the land of Israel. And they're coming back, I wouldn't say different people, but they're coming back with much more knowledge. I think that if you walk with the Bible and you want to build relationship with God, you want to learn more about the qualities of different people that God used in the land, and to get to know God in a better way. And one of the ways to do it is to be in the land. Now, if people having problems to come to the land, they won't get to this level of intimacy with God, because they won't know a lot of the other aspects of God. And therefore, we decided to find a way how to bring more people to the land. And I think that the key is to make it much cheaper for people to come. And then more people can come. So this is our goal, to bring as more people as we can. Second of all, I think that it's also really important to see with your own eyes what God did to the nation of Israel. Because Israel, it's a fulfillment of prophecy, but it's also a miracle. And the only way to surround yourself with so many of his people, the people of Israel, is to be in the land and speak with those people. So it's amazing.
Yes, and I'm kind of reverting back to other podcasts. People that want to talk about Israel, for instance, I had numerous ignorant conservative Christians, some write in, a couple out in the lobby of the church, tell me, right? Well, those Hamas terrorists, Palestinians, they did all those terrible things because the oppression of the Israelis over so many years warped their minds to where it made them those type of violent people. And you know what I thought? I just said, you've never been there. If you go there and really look, you'll see no one's oppressed. No one's oppressed over there. So it's an episode we did called "Ignorant Conservative Christians," right? That you've never been there. So you know what? If you've never been there, then you should just keep your mouth shut. All right? Honestly, sorry, I'm getting worked up. I am mad when I think about that. People that want to comment because they've got a Palestinian friend that grew up in LA, right? That, it just, I'm sorry, I'm venting a little. But this is what we face here. This is what we hear here.
Yeah, it's
right?
absolutely, you're absolutely right. And it's so funny because at the beginning of the war, they did a survey in Israel. And as you know, Pastor Jim, there is 2 million Israeli Muslims that are Israeli citizens. And they wanted to see what's the level of support in the Israeli army in the war. And for the first time in history, over 70% of the Muslims that living in Israel supported the IDF. Even the Muslims, and now I'm kind of looking outside of the country, saying what's taking place in America, and those people have no clue. And you know what? After the service yesterday, I spoke with some people, and those people came to me and said to me, so how can we change it? How can we influence those people, making them understand? And I answered, you know what? There is nothing to do with those people, because those people are demonstrating, been divided into 2 groups. The leaders, which know the truth, but they're very anti-Semitic. Maybe they're radical Muslims. They're coming against God and against Israel. And the other group are those that following those people. And the fact that those people following those people tells me that those are good people. Because in their mind, we're trying to do something good. We're trying to liberate the Palestinians. But what they don't know is that they were so influenced, they were so possessed with evil spirit and wrong information, where today they're like robots that someone operates from distance. It's like a remote control that someone controls you. And those people are so possessed that I'm not sure what's going to save them, but they have no clue what's going on ground. And you said the only way for them to really understand what happens is to be in the land and see it with their own eyes.
I mean, go over there. Otherwise, shut your mouth.
Exactly.
Because that's deception. And I tell you what. You know what you invite? When you give yourself over to that spirit of deception that you talked about last night, more deception comes in.
Absolutely.
More demons are coming your way. And you'll figure that out over time, right? Especially if you're a follower of Jesus Christ, right? And you're not a flaming woke liberal lefty, right? You call yourself a conservative, right? But you've got a Palestinian friend, right? And so you're opening yourself up to deception, and you really just need to go on the 2024 Final Hour podcast tour, October 7th through the 16th, so you can really see how oppressed they really are. Think about this. 2 million Muslims that go to church, worship in mosques. You drive by their houses. There's no fences. We'll show you their houses. They're very, you can tell the difference between the Jewish houses and the Arab houses. And all these Arab houses, huge. It would be equivalent to a Maple Grove house worth $800,000. And they're living in these houses, and they're working in Israel, and they have their families there, and they go to their mosque and they worship, and there's no oppression. And there's 2 million of them. And right after October 7th, they polled these 2 million Arabs, right, that your crooked woke media will never tell you about. And 1.7 million of them said, we support the Israeli Defense Forces, because they live there. They live there. They know the truth. They know the Palestinians have not been oppressed by anyone but Hamas. They know that.
More than that, there is a lot of Christians living in Israel, Israeli Christians and Palestinian Christians. And some of them are good friends of mine, and we're trying to help them as much as we can, because it's terrible in Bethlehem right now. There is no jobs, and they're pretty oppressed. And the Christians telling me, Guy, you guys need to do something, explain it to the people. Like, when they demonstrating against Israel, they demonstrating against us.
Palestinian Christians.
They don't want to identify themselves anymore as Palestinians, but they are Palestinian Christians. Yeah, and they're saying that people don't understand. If Israel want to defeat Hamas right now, that's what a very good friend of mine told me. Like, his name is, you met him in Israel. I'm not sure if you remember, from the store. Actually, maybe we're not supposed to say his name, but whatever. And he said to me, like, if Israel want to defeat the Hamas right now, this is the end of the Christians and the Jews in the Holy Land. Simply as that. And people need to understand it. It's them or us. They know it, and we know it. So don't think that you're making a favor to no one if you go and demonstrate for those people, because when you go and demonstrate for those people, you're demonstrating against Israel. And when you're demonstrating against Israel, you guys demonstrating against this book, because the book is very, very clear. And when Elijah stood on Mount Carmel, he said to the people, for how long are you going to flutter between two opinions? If God is God, follow him. And God was very, very clear. And if you go against God, you're supporting Baal. And if you want to support Baal, that's your problem. But don't tell me that you're a Christian or a Jew.
And what happened to those 400 prophets of Baal at the end of that day that Guy is referring to? They lost their heads.
Yep.
Okay, because they supported the wrong side there, right? And so...
and they were convinced that he's supporting the right side.
Yes, yes.
That's how dangerous it is. You guys need to wake up. There is only one way, and that's the Bible. There is no in-between. There is no two opinions. It's only one. If you're truly a follower of God and a believer, the Bible commands you to support Israel. Simply as that. Sometimes stuff make no sense. That's your problem. That's my problem. But God is very, very clear.
And we have done 3 months of podcast of nothing but this. Everything from Ishmael to, Abraham, all that on why it's the Jews' land. Even so much more should be the Jews' land. We've explained it to you, and so, but real quick before we go farther, there is his tour company called Aliyah, right? Aliyah, correct? Aliyah. All right. And that's the company that we are using. There is a link on the podcast website. If you would like to support Israel through this company, because they do so much more. Aliyah does so much more than just tours to support Israel. We're talking about displaced Israeli citizens. There are 60,000 of them in the north. The day of the October 7th invasion, they fled their homes, a lot of them in their underwear. No wallet, no keys, no money, no food. You were handing out your debit card to Israelis that had lost everything and could not go back, right, for some time, correct?
You're right. What happened is they didn't had their ID with them even. So if you have no ID with you, if you have no card to prove your identification, you cannot get money out of the bank. You cannot buy food. You cannot get clothing. And they were under the mercy of good people. but everyone wanted to come and help. It was amazing times.
So it wasn't just 1,400 savagely children, people burned alive, sexual organs cut out, babies cut out of pregnant women. We could go on hundreds of rapes, all that. But what we never hear about is the Jews that had to get out of there, right? That got away and could not go back, right? And lost. But what Aliyah does is all you did was you handed out food for probably 2 or 3 weeks, did you not? Meals.
More than that. We began with I think 300 or 400 meals, and when I'm saying meals, we went to a really good restaurant in Tel Aviv. Actually, Pastor Jim, the biggest challenge at the beginning was to make this non-kosher place kosher. So I'm not sure what's harder to do, to defeat the Hamas or to make a restaurant in Tel Aviv kosher.
Okay.
But in the end, we made it kosher, and we came up to 1,600 meals a day, but really quality, like chef meals. And we provided the meals to people with special needs, and also 233 Holocaust survivors daily. And those people couldn't go out and buy their own food because they were too afraid not to make it back to shelter in case of rocket attack. So they were sitting in their shelters nonstop. Hiding.
Because the rockets were still flying.
All the time.
They're still flying, okay? They're not, it's not that they had the attack, 1,400 people died and everyone went back to normal. They were still shooting, they're still shooting rockets. They're still facing rockets. And, a lot of what Aliyah does even now is they support the soldiers in many different ways. And so if you would like to give to this, there is a link on the podcast website, all one word, okay, no spaces, thefinalhourpodcast.com. You get it on the Final Hour Podcast website, and there is a link, a Support Israel link that you can hit, that you can give to Aliyah, where this is going straight to the soldiers. This is going straight to Israelis, citizens in need that have had to leave where they live.
Yep. I'll tell you, one of the first decision that the board of Aliyah took was to designate the money to Israel from the general fund, because we wanted to make sure that there is no operational costs, and 100% of the money goes to Israel. We combined with other nonprofits in Israel, but we didn't give them money directly. We just said to them, you guys tell us, what do you need? We'll talk with the people, and we're going to provide it straight to the people, because we want to make our supporters wants to support people, not salaries of other companies. So that's what we did. But as the war progressed, I noticed that people are already used to getting food, and it's very convenient for them to get food from us. And I felt that this is the time to stop providing food and help them stand on their legs. Because at one point, rocket didn't fly anymore and people could go out, but they still expected food. So we stopped it, and then we were looking to do other projects. And what I noticed is, and I shared it with you before, Pastor, that cities and towns and kibbutzim around Gaza, which had a very organized SWAT team that reacted very quickly, saved their community. Simply as that. People with weapons that came together and fought the terrorists, very few people dying in their community. And I said to myself, wow, this is a lesson for us. Because in case of an attack, and we will have maybe in the future another attack, maybe something similar in the north or other places, we need to be prepared. And if we'll be prepared, we'll defeat the enemy very quickly. And therefore, we decided to do a project called 144. Why 144? Because according to the book of Revelation, in the end of the days, Revelation 7, 144,000 Jews from the tribes of Israel will survive. And we need to make sure that 144,000 people will survive. And the way to do it is to build up teams along the borders of Israel, but not only along the borders, there is other threat from the inside, and make sure that in every one of those places there is a very trained kind of team that can react very quickly with weapons. So that's going to be our next project.
And Guy is leading this up in a lot of ways. He showed me a bill where they were buying helmets,
special
special communications abilities. You know, the kind of mics that only work when you talk into them, right? That kind of thing. You don't have to press a button; you just have to talk. And so what happens is these little villages and kibbutzes. What he's saying, think about this. The ones that had a little reaction team like that reacted, this is something you don't hear on the news. They defended and successfully defended those villages. Okay, because they reacted, they were ready. But Israel was in such a state of safety, really, that a lot of those kibbutzes and those little villages, they had nothing like that. They were completely overrun. So Aliyah is now funding what they're funding. I just saw a huge bill. He showed me a bill for 13 helmets, right? A lot of these are little reaction teams for each kibbutz or village, right? That if something like that happened again, because look, the Israeli, how many people are in Israel?
Around 10 million people.
Yeah, let me put it this way: with 50,000 Hezbollah troops in Lebanon and Syria, 7,000 of them on the border. All right, it's much different. Plus, you've got Yemen, you've got Iraq, you've got Syria. They can't be everywhere at once. You've got the West Bank, so they have to. The next move is to have these little villages trained. These little special reaction teams, right? That if something like that were to happen, they could repel something like that if it's in a place where the army doesn't have someone necessarily. And so that's Aliyah is supporting that, correct?
Yeah, we know that we cannot support everyone.
Yes.
But I think that everyone needs to give his own small share, and we'll try to support 20, maybe 30 of those teams and provide anything they need. We're also in touch with the police, and the police will provide a weapon and training, and we'll support with equipment. And hopefully that's going to make a big difference. Second of all, there is also a psychological effect on the other side, because if the other side know that there is a very trained, armed team, they'll think not twice, but 10 times before doing anything like that. What the Hamas understood out of their intelligence before the attack, that we're sitting loose. And they convinced, like the villagers and the army is convinced that we won't have any attack. So the Hamas knew that they won't have any big resistance. But if they would know in advance that they'll have resistance and someone going to fight them back, they wouldn't conduct this attack.
And you can, I loved what you said last night when you said God commanded them to guard those walls.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, I was just down in one of these villages, right? A village where you could see the wall. We went to the wall that surrounded Gaza, and I looked at this wall, and I just thought, no one's coming through that wall ever. As a matter of fact, where I was, there were two walls. There was a wall and then another wall. They had unmanned towers with machine guns, female soldiers 700 meters back looking at computers. So the technology is so amazing that the soldiers are not even up there in the towers on the walls. They're wherever the technology was, wherever they look, the gun moves. Okay? Someone comes close. Okay. And you looked at all this, right? And I just thought, they will never be attacked through these walls. I remember thinking that. And I think they felt the same way. Right now, I would say that Gaza wall was probably the most amazing wall at this present time.
Yep.
Right? In the world. And you saw why the wall was there. I think we saw, those walls have been criticized, right? Think about that. And they breached that wall in a matter of really seconds. They were through the wall. And Amir Safadi, we told you, he said it threw the few Israeli soldiers that were there, it threw them off, because when the civilians saw inside Gaza, saw that the wall was breached, civilians started pouring through the wall. And Amir Safadi reported many of those civilians committed the murder and the rapes, Palestinian civilians.
Yep.
But these Israeli soldiers are like, they don't have a weapon. Right? A lot of these civilians that are pouring through the wall with this is just one spot, right? They came over in gliders, right?
Yep.
They came over from the water, all right?
From everywhere.
Yes. And so, but they're in spots when the Palestinians saw, look, the walls are down. A lot of the atrocities were committed by those very Palestinians, correct?
You're right.
Yes.
But
today
we know that it's true what Amir Sarfati described. It was mainly the helicopters pilots, because helicopters came over and they saw tons of people. They had no clue who to shoot, how to stop them. But soldiers on ground in this stage, when the civilians came in, were not alive anymore, or ran out of ammunition, because no one expected to have such 3 waves. The first wave was like the Hamas special forces. Second wave was regular Hamas soldiers. And the third wave was those civilians that came in to steal, to burn, to rape, to kill. And you know what? They did it in such a big joy. And when we fighting back, when we shoot back, we're trying to make sure that we won't kill any civilian. And we don't want to kill no one. We're not in this world to kill and destroy. We're here to bring joy to the world. But they came with such a joyful heart to kill and to burn people alive. It's unreal.
This is the Palestinian civilians that the world is crying about right now. Okay?
There is no civilians over there. I'm sorry to... Maybe there are civilians.
But if you watch the news, right, that's...
What happened is, in 2006, 2007, when the Hamas took over, they also took over the educational system in Gaza. And since then till today, Gaza population doubled their number, which means that over 1 million people were educated under the agenda that what God expecting you to do is to kill the Jews and to destroy Israel. So you tell me, if a person is under the impression that his only task, only job in life is to destroy the Jews and destroy Israel and kill the Jews, not even exile them, just kill them, and that's his mind. I'm not saying that physically they doing it, but in their mind. That's a civilian, someone that's waking up every morning and praying for my destruction. That's a civilian. No, those people, like in their spirit, they're terrorists. And no one will convince me that there is any civilians over there.
No, because since 2006, they have been 2007.
Doctor-trained.
That's 16 years. So you take a 5-year-old at that time, when the Palestinians got all of Gaza because of George Bush, all right, pushed the Israelis out. They got all of Gaza. Hamas started educating them, all right, 16 years ago. Kill the Jew. Kill the Jew. The Jew wants to kill you. You kill the Jew first. You will be rewarded in heaven if you kill the Jew. And so that, remember, you've got to check out if you're still not convinced, if you're one of those conservative Christians that goes to a church that's afraid to say anything about this, we know who you are. And those pastors have to do what God tells them to do, right? All right? That they're going to answer to God for that. If you're one of them people, you have to understand that that these people are educated. Can you imagine if a 5-year-old child is told for 16 years on television, schooling, television
Summer
programs,
camps.
summer camps, cartoons, kill the Jew, kill the Jew, kill the Jew, right? That's what we should title this.
Kill the Jew.
Kill the Jew. Maybe it'll get us views, right? Right? Maybe it'll get into the algorithms, right? Because we know what YouTube supports, right? We know who they support. And so, it's just amazing that people don't know this. They think these people, these citizens, you've got the Israelis saying there are no citizens at this point. And really, if you look at it, you don't understand the news. Anyone left in Gaza, right, is not a citizen. They're probably not a citizen. Every building was fortified with Hamas soldiers, Hamas military equipment. See, they don't tell you that they had to fight through every
building.
Single building. It was a fortress, all right? But I loved what Guy said. That last night, you have to view the message on the Living Word website. He had videos of Hamas saying, the Israelis love life, okay, but we live to be martyrs.
We live to die.
We live to die. And we live to kill Jews and die. But the Israelis love life. It says it right there. He had Hamas leader after leader after leader after leader stating what they want. But the world is taking the Hamas figures, of all the deaths.
Yep.
That's what they show on BBC. Is the Hamas, what Hamas is reporting, how many people have died there, right? Just astronomically wrong numbers. But that's the official figure.
And you know what's funny? They kind of given a number of over 20,000 people that lost their lives.
Yes.
All civilians.
Yes.
Yes. Not even one terrorist died over there.
Yes.
It's all civilians.
Yes.
But as far as Israel, the fact that the guy is possessed, because that's what we think. Those people are possessed with demonic kind of satanic spirits. It doesn't mean that they deserve to die. That this is our view.
Really?
We're not targeting kids. We're trying not to target women and children. We don't think that they deserve to die. The fact that someone hate me doesn't mean that I hate him. But believe it or not, Israelis praying for them to find God. Israelis praying with everything they did to us. We're still thinking that everyone created in the image of God. And we do want them to find God and to find the truth. But if any one of them lift his sword against us, he'll die. If a guy thinks that his kids will defend him from dying after launching the rockets, you need to think twice. Because if someone shoots at me, that's it. We're not playing around anymore. We're shooting back.
Yes, and you can't tell me that a man that could have another man or woman tied up in front of him, in front of a camera, and just saw somebody's head off. Tell me they're not possessed. This is what they do, right? Tell me they're not possessed. They're absolutely demonically possessed. Okay, and I just the presentation that he gave was astounding because it says it how it is. See, you don't see any of this on the news. None of this is on our crooked, woke, local, and national news. They just skirt it. And
in some way, actually, I'll take you back to the 1930s when Hitler came to power. And Hitler said to the world exactly what his plans are. I'm going to take over the world. I'll destroy the Jews. And other people said, make him write books. It's only words. And your viewers.
Oh, you mean
understand.
Mein Kampf, the book he wrote?
But not only with Mein Kampf. In every speech that Hitler gave, and the world said, "No, come on, the guy's mad. Let him speak. Let him express himself. Freedom of speech and stuff." You guys, the Hamas, and I showed it yesterday. And not only the Hamas, the radical Muslims, telling the world, Iran as well, telling the world exactly what they're going to do to us. But not only that, they're telling us how they're going to do it to us and what's going to be the outcome. And we're saying, no, let them speak. They're nice people. You guys, bad people telling you what they're going to do to you. If you don't want to understand that, that's your problem, but you're going to pay every price. They did it to us. The Hamas told us exactly how and why they're going to do it. And you know what? We were the ones that didn't want to see. Because for months before the attack, those Hamas militants, they're training. They built places that look like kibbutzim in front of the border fence. They didn't hide it. And we're looking from our cameras with binoculars, and they see them training on buildings. They're training how they're breaking through the wall. They exploding the concrete. They're doing everything. And we're sitting out there and watching, and let them play. And they're telling us, you bunch of idiots, we're coming to kill you.
So they were training on the wall how they were going to get through the wall. Yeah, the Israelis were watching.
They built a model. Yeah. They built a model. And we're watching, and we Israel saying, no, come on. Let them express themselves. You know what? You hate me so much. Let me compensate you. Take more working permits. Take more money. And those guys saying to us, wake up. We're coming to kill you. And Israel saying, no, you guys are mad. Let's settle in down. Let's speak and talk. When people telling you what they're going to do to you, you better listen. And God is there shouting, you guys listen. And we didn't listen. And we paid every price because maybe this is our pride. Maybe we were too blind. Maybe we were away from God. But God told us, you stand on the wall. Guard your country. People hate you. Even before
tells them to stand on the wall.
Isaiah, even before the state of Israel, when there is no Palestine in Israel and there is no conflict, in 1921, there is a massacre of Jews in Palestine. In 1929, there is a massacre of Jews. Between 1936 and 1939, there is an uprising in Palestine against the Jews. So don't tell me that that's Israel oppressing them. Those people going after the Jews way before the state of Israel.
That's such a great point. This is before Israel became a nation in 1948. Yeah. Okay?
And you know what, Pastor? The leader of the Palestinians, Sheikh Amin al-Husseini, this guy in the early 30s, fly over to, or take a boat, I'm not sure, over to Berlin to meet with Hitler. And he says to him, I'm your soldier. Let me help you kill the Jews. So don't tell me fairy tales about peace and let's live together. Those people are there, and not all of them, I have to say not all of them, but in mind, the majority have one goal, and that's the destruction of the state of Israel and Judaism. And you know what?
And America.
And America as well.
And you can see on his, if you go back to the message, they're talking about America too. They're just not, I'm talking, this is a one guy. All right, that he showed these clips. It was amazing. It was amazing what we saw.
Absolutely, but it's when you're talking about Israel and America and how their plan is to destroy us, it just shows you that it's not a war between Israel and Palestine or America and another country. It's a holy war between the soldiers of God and the soldier of Satan. And Satan comes with those candies and with those lies, and gaining more and more soldiers. And those possessed people demonstrating in the streets of America against Israel, they're not demonstrating against Israel. They're demonstrating against every value that the United States was built on. Simply as that. And that's what they don't understand.
And we Guy had a great point yesterday, because I've heard statements from Hamas and Hezbollah that said, one statement specifically said, oh, we got the Saturday worshipers. Now we're coming for the Sunday worshipers. And I said, Guy, I think I think they're planning something here, with the open borders and all the people that have been seen coming through the borders. We know they're sending their trained terrorists through the southern borders. But Guy had a point. He said, I'm just trying to give you all points of view. We can agree to disagree. I think they're coming. I think there's a similar type of attack, maybe wider spread, just to put fear in the hearts of America. Guy says no, at least not soon. Can you remember we talked about that?
Yep.
Tell me why you think it's not happening soon here. I just want you to have all points of view.
I think that they're trying to put the American people asleep. In some way, they're coming with smiles, and we're here to build America together. We want to settle over here. But since 9/11, I think that those forces understood that there is no way for them to defeat America with swords and guns. You guys are too powerful for that, and you're going to chase anyone that will attack you. So those people came with another way. We're going to break America slowly from the inside. We're going to tear apart the American society. We're going to go and financially support the leading academic schools in the world, like Harvard and Yale and Stanford. We're going to pour money over there, and we'll design the curriculum. And we're going to influence the future leader generation or leaders out of the future generations of America. And we're going to use those people. So their plan is to tear apart the American society from the inside and see what happens in your country in the past 15 years. You see, God doesn't like divisions. When there is divisions, the enemy comes in and widen the gaps even more and making you hate your neighbor and your neighbor hate you without no reason. And that's what those people trying to do. And
they want us to fight each other. They want us to implode.
And it happens.
Yeah, it's slowly. But here's the thing. Here's what Elsie said. They're holding back on us from doing something like they did over there in Gaza, because Iran is rushing to get that nuclear weapon.
Yep.
So if that type of attack were sprung over here, all right, then they risk like what we did in Afghanistan, what we did in Iraq, us going right in there. Right in, if it was traced back to Iran, which a lot of this stuff is, Iran's even to the point, even though they're different Muslims, they fund Hamas. We know that they fund Hamas.
Absolutely.
And so the main thing is because of that nuclear weapon that Iran is rushing to have complete. So what? They can shoot it at the Jews, all right? And so they don't. If there's something coming here, they want that nuclear weapon. If there's something that's planned for America, sleeper cells, whatever, they want that nuclear weapon built first. All right, so that America isn't involved in taking it out. All right, because they can't deal with an America and Israel together. It would be over very quickly. Right? They can't deal with that right now. I think just from the comments, they tell you what they're going to do. They've said we got the Saturdays worshipers. Now we're going to get the Sundays. And is that are they going to hit the churches? And I'm just saying, be vigilant. And you know what else can stop it? Prayer. And that's one of the reasons that every Saturday night at Living Word at the end of the service, we pray. The congregation prays for the nation. And we've done quite a bit of it for Israel. But now after all 3 weekend services, you've got some churches, they're famous for their 7-minute party between services. We have 7 minutes of prayer at the end of our service for the nation. Nothing on those churches that have the 7-minute party. That's great. For their community and everything. Their community. That's a big word over here for churches, Guy. The community is very important. Okay.
If community is very important, I wouldn't push the decision. Like, the Western lifestyle made us, maybe that's the habit, to push problems away and to hide it under the carpet. People thinking that if they won't confront Iran right now and you'll be nice to them, the problem going to go away. But no, it's going to increase. It's going to be even more than that. I'm not sure if you remember, Pastor, but we were talking like 2 months ago, like 2 or 3 weeks into the war, and you asked me if I think that the Hezbollah will attack Israel. And I answered, no, I don't think so. Maybe it's going to be very local.
He's talking about in the north. This is mostly in the north. Okay, Gaza is south, all right?
Northern part of Israel. And I replied, no, I don't think so, although there is a daily kind of incidents on the border. But Hezbollah, it's a proxy of Iran. And they need the Hezbollah to threat Israel and to use them in case of an attack over Iran. And the reason why the Hezbollah doesn't do nothing right now, because they can. Hezbollah is 10 times more powerful than Hamas. They have abilities to hit every building in Israel. According to our numbers, they have in almost 300,000 rockets, which we can take out very quickly, by the way, because if we'll have a war with Hezbollah, we're not going to be so nice like we're nice with the Hamas. But the point is that the Iranians are racing right now to build and complete their nuclear program. And that's something that they cannot jeopardize. And therefore, they're trying to avoid any direct conflict with anyone right now. And that's why they're using those small proxies everywhere. But if we'll keep project weakness, this is the end of your community that people are trying to build so hard. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, these churches that are so, I guess Living Word is more, like every church has a call. And the most important thing that has to go forth from a church is the Word.
I agree.
Okay, that's, I know we've got our praise and worship, and yes, and you've got all your little cell groups, but in the end, the only thing that's going to get you through is your relationship with the Lord. And a person is not going to renew your mind. This is the only thing.
And your obedience.
That's going to renew your mind. Well, through the renewing of your mind, the obedience comes,
yep.
Right? And so I guess our prime at this church is the delivery of that. That has that is the thing, right? Not that we don't have community, not that we don't have the alpha groups and the cell groups, and we're not as good as some of these, I call them community genius pastors, right? I mean, we're not as good at it, but you're going to get this. This is what we believe in. This is what has to go forward. This is how you're going to grow. Okay? All right?
I think that everything that happens right now projects through the Bible. I think that everything begins, all of the problems beginning with Isaac. Because Isaac had 2 sons, Jacob and Esau. And Jacob was the one that took the blessings in the end. And Esau took only one blessing. And his blessing was to and you shall live on your sword. And they live in their sword. But when I think that's my interpretation, when Esau lost everything, who came to his help and promised him kingdoms? I believe that's the devil. The devil said to him, "Come, it's not in the Bible, that's my interpretation. I'm going to help you get rid of this, Jacob. You follow me." And since then, Esau doing their best, the Edomites, to destroy Israel. And every prophecy regarding the land of Israel always got secluding the Edomites. In Ezekiel 36 and in Obadiah and that you read to me yesterday.
Yes.
And it's always around Esau. I was sharing with you also, Pastor, even Herod the Great, going after the babies in Bethlehem and going after Jesus, Herod lineage.
Palestinian.
It comes from the Edomites.
Yeah, Guy is a believer. We've given you I haven't taken the Philistine point of view, and neither does Guy. They're not Philistines, okay? But I've told you the different points of view. The Palestinians are people
cannot be
groups. You've got the point of view. The Palestinians are people groups from Jordan, and they're Arabs from all these different areas that kind of came into the region once Israel started to prosper. Guy is a believer. The Palestinians are the Edomites. And remember, we gave you that. We gave you that point of view. We read you. The book of Obadiah is about Esau, the Edomites, and the destruction of them as a people. The whole book of Obadiah, God said, I am going to show you how the Palestinians are going to go out, right? In the end, every one of them. Every one of them. Oh, sorry, I know I interrupted you.
No, everyone that goes against Israel.
Yes. There's Palestinian Christians, and maybe we can get to them in Bethlehem. Huge persecution. The Palestinians and Christians in Bethlehem by Hamas.
You're right.
Huge persecution. Because Bethlehem, in essence, would you say it's Hamas controlled?
Officially not, but under the surface, absolutely.
Okay. All right. And I know I've thrown a bunch of stuff out there, so go ahead and comment on whatever you'd like to comment.
No, even in Ezekiel 36, when God speaks to the mountains of Israel, God says over there, speaks about the Edomites, they took my land and gave it to themselves. And that's the narrative, that's our land. That's what they're saying. This is our land. And God says, no, I'm going to show my fury against them because they shamed my name and they shamed the land and stuff. So it's all over there in Ezekiel.
Ezekiel 36. And, you've heard a lot from us on what chapters? Ezekiel 38 and 39, right? Isn't that interesting that he's talking about Edom right before Ezekiel 38, which is coming either, I believe, right before the rapture or right after the rapture. We'll just have to see.
It's to my opinion, it's before the rapture because it speaks about, in the end of this chapter, it's describing how the nation of Israel coming back to the land, to the forsaken cities, and to build up the place and suddenly, agriculture and everything that we did. So it's all over here. And God says in specific what's going to happen, and that happens. But again, our weakness, the nation of Israel always do halfway. If Israel in 1948 would go all the way behind God and His Word, we wouldn't have any problems today, and they wouldn't have any problems today. But Pastor, it's really important for me to send a message. You guys, do me a favor. As much as you're praying for Israel, pray for the Palestinians. For what? For them to see the light and see the truth. It's not late for them, or it's not too late for them to change sides. Like the door to the kingdom of God, to the presence of God is open to everyone. They just need to see the light and come over. They don't need to pay every price. They can admit, they can change sides. And whoever doesn't do it will end the way Obadiah describes it.
Listen to this. This is right before you get into Ezekiel 38 war. And this is where it has been. And they shall say, this land was desolate, has now, since the Jews are back, it's like the Garden of Eden.
Yep.
And if you go to Israel, you see literally it's like the Garden of Eden.
And that's exactly what the chapter says.
Yes, but Mark Twain was there in the 1890s and said it was, no one's living here. This is you could never grow anything here. Yeah. This is an awful place, right? But suddenly the Jews start coming back, turns into a land of Eden. And he says, and the waste and desolate and ruined cities are fortified now, inhabited. The nations that are left round about you shall know that I, the Lord, have rebuilt those ruined places, replanted that which was desolate. And the Lord, I have spoken it, I will do it. Thus says the Lord, for this also I will let the house of Israel inquire of me to do it for them. I will increase their men like a flock to 10 million. Now it's 10 million. 10 million people over there.
From 600,000 people.
And that little space. Okay, this is the last few verses of Ezekiel 36. Like the flock of holy things for sacrifice, like the flock of Jerusalem in her solemn appointed feast, so shall the waste cities be filled with flocks of men. What's that talking about? Jews. And they shall know, understand, and realize I am the Lord, the ruler who calls forth loyalty and obedient service. That's what Guy's talking about. This is right before Ezekiel 38. This is the state of Israel. All right. If you were to go and see for yourself, you're not going to see oppression. All right. You're not going to see, well, why did they build the walls? Do you see why they had the walls? I think we just saw why they had the walls.
Yep.
Those amazing walls around Gaza. They know why they had to build the walls, right? But they didn't man the walls. And do you catch what he's saying? They practiced blowing up the walls right out in the open. They practiced what they were going to do. And the Jews still
let them play games.
Yeah, they're playing games. They're playing mind games, right? What are they doing over there, right? Yeah. And
also, when we pulled out of Gaza, which was a terrible mistake, but never mind.
Because of George Bush, in my opinion. But
Condoleezza Rice and George Bush, the pressure, let them they participate in the elections. That's what they said to us about the Hamas. But in our vision, Gaza could turn into Singapore. We left industries behind for their benefits, but the Hamas came over and destroyed everything. Now, can you explain to me something in math, Pastor? If Hamas gets every year billions of dollars from the world, how come every single Palestinian is not a millionaire? Where does the money go through? Why those people are starving to bread and water, thirst for water? Where is the money? And the money goes under the surface to fortify, to the tunnels, and no one can hit concrete. So, and then people ask in Israel, wait, but there is a blockade. That's why they're behaving like that. No, there is a blockade because those people smuggling everything into Gaza, and they producing everything. And they building like fortification to attack us, not for the benefits of their people. They don't care about those people. And the guy said it yesterday very clearly in the video. As far as us, all Palestinians can die. Hamas. We don't care.
And Hamas is supposed to be taking care of the Palestinians. They're governing the Palestinians. And it is billions of dollars.
Yearly.
They get a lot of money from the U.S., from Joe Biden, okay? From Joe Biden. And so they get all this, if they get billions of dollars under the guise of taking care
for 2 million people
of the Palestinians, 2 million Palestinians down there in Gaza, it's exactly what he said. They should all be millionaires down there. But they're in poverty. They're in poverty. No, they built a 300 miles worth of tunnels and created an underground military fortress that Israel had to foot by foot take from them. That's what's going on there. That's there's so many directions. Where do you feel you can talk about anything you want if we want to keep expounding. Did I interrupt the Esau Edomite?
Yeah, I think it's a godly war, as we said before. He's still under the impression that he deserved to be the firstborn and take the blessings. But the godly plan was different. Even before the birth of Esau and Jacob, Rebecca already was told that Jacob will be the one with the blessings, and she did everything in her power to do so. Actually, she had such a big faith, Rebecca, where she went against her husband and pushed her son Jacob to get the blessing, although she already know that she won't see her son anymore. He left, she died. For 22 years, but this were a task in life to make sure that Jacob will take the blessing. And this was the godly plan. The fact that Jacob wasn't the first one, just teaching us that there is no free gifts in life. A person needs to work to gain the godly bless. It doesn't come without a price. And same now, like people need to work for that, and they need to understand the godly plan. And the problem is that they're so confused. People are so confused in America because they don't get the right information. And when you're so confused, the name of your church is the Living Word. And I'm guessing that there is other Living Word churches in America.
There is. That's why I announce us as the original.
You guys are the original.
We are. We are the first,
but
right?
If I may give them a good advice, if you guys going against God, if you guys going against this book, change your name from Living Word to the Death Word. Because it's not going to help you guys. It's not going to help you. It's this book or nothing.
Listen, he's talking about Esau, the Edomites, who a lot of people believe they are the Palestinians. Listen. If Esau, people argue it should have been Esau, not Jacob, then why is there a whole book, Obadiah, written to the destruction of Esau's descendants from God, a prophecy? And we know it hasn't happened yet, right? Because they will be completely and utterly destroyed. Isn't that wild to think? How is that going to happen? Is that be Ezekiel 38? What is that going to be? Is that going to be one of the proxy wars before that? I don't know. I think if I was Israel, if it did break out into a proxy, they threw all the proxies, right? The Houthis.
That's what Hammond
all the people in Syria, the Hezbollah, right? And I think at that point, Israel would completely take them out.
Absolutely.
They would completely take out the Palestinians, which I believe should happen. Listen to me. But the North, and we've told you about this, the North, there are 7. I've given you the figures on this, all the figures, all the militia groups. There are 7,000 Hamas troops just on the border in Lebanon. All right, real trained people. These aren't just guys running around in turbans. These are trained troops. Guy said, did you say 300,000 rockets?
That's the number.
If you count all the mortars now can be equipped to travel 40 miles. A mortar, right? If it's, I'm just saying, if you count everything, and the situation up north is, I'll just say this, is way more dangerous. And I know Gaza was bad. Let me just tell you this: Hezbollah has these troops. They are. If they did the same thing they did in Gaza, they've got trained death squads for this. What do they call them? Do you know the name for them? There's a name for these Hezbollah death squads in the north.
I think that it's Nusba or something.
They're the first ones over the wall, right? And they're ready to die. And they're there. What are they going to do? They're going to rape. They're going to murder. They're going to torture. They're going to put little children in the oven. They're going to do all the things that we saw Hamas do. This thing, obviously, according to the Bible, is not over, right? But we, like Guy says last night, we know the end. We know the end, right? And you are here for such a time as this, i.e. Esther, right? You're made for such a time as this. There's no reason to fear, right? But it's great. Have your community, but you have to make sure that your relationship with the Lord is very, very strong. Very, very strong. And so
I think that we need to ask a question.
Yes.
So if there is so many bad people all around us that have in one thing on mind, and that's to kill us and to torture us and to destroy, how come the nation of Israel won't pick up their bags and move over here to America? And the answer is because we're stronger than them. And with all of their plans, that's it. We're not playing games anymore. We won't allow it to happen again. Simple as that. When the Hamas launched the attack, they were hoping to gain 2 things. One, to have all of those proxies join them, which it didn't happen. Because those people know that there is God in Israel. They're not stupid. They knew exactly what's going to happen to them. And according to the Israeli army, they used only 20% of their capacity, their ability in the war in Gaza. It's only 20%. It's nothing. We still have 80% of our military ready to fight other troops. So the Hamas failed with this kind of what they hoped to happen. But second of all, they were also hoping to have the public opinion on their side. In their mind, Israel will attack. in a week or 2 weeks, because it happened before, the world will restrain Israel. They'll stop us. And they happily failed as well, because the world doesn't stop us. But you do see those demonstrations supporting the Hamas on the streets. And those people are demonstrating on the streets, supporting the Hamas. They don't supporting the Palestinians. They're supporting terror group. And as far as me, they're the same like them.
Yeah, they're ignorant too. They're ignorant. You need to go over there before you run your mouth. You know. So did you have? I just want to, I know you'll be back, but I mean, I just want to cover everything. We got plenty of time. People have written in; they'd rather have them longer. Like this was an argument. Also, before we get into if there's a next thing, if you are from another country, right? Because we looked at all the different countries, and honestly, we thought there's like 79 countries outside of the United States. But if you are a regular listener or viewer from another country, email us, okay, and let us know. Hey, I listen to this every week. Okay, I listen to this every week, and give us some comments, right? Like, what would you like to hear us talk about? I'm curious what people in other countries, what are they looking for, right? What are they? Maybe we're right on target, right? But did you have anything else in your heart or your spirit you want to talk about? Because we're time isn't an issue here.
I have a request.
Sure.
I think that more than people need to concern about Israel, they need to concern about their own country. Partly the attack in Israel took the mind of many Americans from your inner problems over to our problems. And it's allowing the enemy to work inside your backyard. And I think that people need to write to their representatives in the House in the Senate or in the Congress and be very, very clear. If there is schools or institutes in America that going against our Constitution or America, the federal government cannot fund them. They cannot pay them to raise a generation that's going to go against you.
But this federal government, they're scary. And I'll tell you this. This is why I think an attack that happened in Gaza could happen. Who knows? It could happen they could do it in 15 different places at once. Think about the confusion you could cause. And let me tell you this. I am not completely sure that this government would do anything. They would wait and let it happen. They wouldn't react, right? Because I personally believe they want to start over in this country. They want to see it fall, right?
The government?
Yes. I do believe that. And let's think about Minnesota. If this happened in Minnesota, you think our illustrious governor is going to send out the National Guard if you had neighborhoods taken over by Hamas? No. He's going to wait a week. He let Minneapolis burn for 6 days and didn't lift a finger. Is that what Israel did? If Jerusalem was burning, would they send out the National Guard?
Of course.
Yeah. He let it burn. He let them destroy the city. Didn't lift a finger. Okay? You think he sent out the National Guard in that kind of situation? Oh my gosh, no. I think there's deeper. I think they want to start over. I think they want people like us out, right? And they want to be able to lay down martial law, right? And they would use that martial law to get rid of their enemies. Just my opinion. That's why you need to pray. That's how bad it is here.
It's bad.
Okay, we watch this stuff closely. Why would you have 14,000 people a day coming over the southern border, and we know that there are Chinese men, young, all dressed the same way, wearing the same things. We know there is Hamas coming over the border. We know.
Oh, you do?
Yes. And it's open. We know there's a sex trade going on in the border. We know there's a deal with the cartels going on in the border, i.e. sex trade, and they just leave them open. Come on in. You think they want our country to do well? No. They know that these other countries are taking people out of their prisons. Countries like Venezuela, right? And sending them up. Cuba, sending them through the border, sending their worst criminals through the border. We know that. Your government knows that, right? Your government knows that. And you think they're going to react if something happened here? That what happened over there in Gaza? No, they're not going to react. I think it's what they want.
But that's strengthened my kind of belief that they're trying to destroy America from the inside.
Yes. The progressive left is. It is.
Maybe one good thing that came out of the Gaza war is that masks were removed out of those faces of those tree huggers. I said it yesterday, people that won't use plastic all of their life, and they're demonstrating again.
Tree huggers. Yes,
tree huggers. But when
no plastic allowed.
Exactly, but when they kill Jews, that's okay.
Yes, but you can kill a Jew.
If you want to destroy America, that's okay.
Yes, go ahead.
But don't use plastic.
Yeah, but don't use plastic while you're doing it.
Yep.
don't throw it in the lake.
Yeah.
Right. Put it in the blue can. Right. And so this has been an honor. Guy Leibovitz. Remember, check out their link if you'd like to give to the Aliyah Foundation. You're giving. You're giving to. We explained what they're doing with those little village. I like to call them reaction team, almost like a little militia that's trained. Because look, the villages that had those little teams, they did not get taken, right? But the villages that did not have those teams did get taken, right? And were terrorized. And so that's what's going on with that. Also, Aliyah will always react for the Jewish people immediately. He was FaceTiming me driving around in a van, right? And showing, that's what he was doing day 2, right down in those areas that were attacked, handing out food. He had a van full of food.
Oh, yeah.
And so you were FaceTiming us. So, that your money, there's nothing funny about this. Nobody's taking $125,000 a year salary and compensating themselves with the money that you give to the Aliyah Foundation. Okay, do you get what I'm saying? It's a nonprofit organization, and I hope I'm okay to say that, right? We kind of said that earlier. It's not going to operational costs.
No, the money that goes to Israel doesn't go to operational costs.
Yes. So, listen, thank you so much for tuning in to the Final Hour podcast.
Wait, Pastor, I need to say something before the end.
Yes.
It's a request from your church and people that listen to us. Please pray for Pastor Jim as well. And I'll tell you why. Very few people standing boldly to the side of the nation of Israel. And when you're exposing yourself and you're saying, I'm supporting them, you're exposing yourself to attacks of the enemy and other people. But the Jewish nation, for thousands of years, had no one to stand to our right. Very few people stood on the right of the Jews, and they paid every price, private price. And you're there in front of the camp. So I want to thank you, Pastor Jim Hammond, for what you do to the Jewish nation and to the people of Israel. It's not obvious. And I know that by doing so, you're exposing yourself, your own body, to a constant attacks against you. So I would like to ask your crowd, you guys pray for Pastor Jim. May God give you the wisdom and the health to keep doing what you do. And thank you so much. Like the nation of Israel will never forget your name.
And I will gladly receive your prayers. And while you're praying for that, pray that I start eating clean food sometime in the next few days. Not to lighten the load, or lighten the situation, but this is how I was brought up. This was instilled in me. This came from my parents. This is just in me, you know. There's no other way to explain it. I feel like I know it. I've been there. I think maybe if you add up all the days that I've been over there,
It's more than me.
it's in Israel. It's hundreds of days, right? That I've walked that land. That I've been. I was in Gaza. I saw the beautiful greenhouses, miles of agriculture that the Jews handed over to the Palestinians. The Jews are looking at it like, well, they're going to have themselves like $150 million a year industry. You know, that's what the Jews left them, intact. And they burned it to the ground. And you're talking to me about Israeli oppression? Go jump in the lake. Oh, that's an old school saying. Go jump in the lake, right? Go jump in the lake. So anyways, thank you so much for tuning in to the Final Hour podcast. Please remember to subscribe. It helps us if you subscribe, if you're a regular listener. Remember, on the Final Hour podcast website, www.thefinalhourpodcast.com, all one word. If you are from another country and you are a regular listener, please email in and let us know. Let us know your thoughts and what you would like to hear us talk about. God bless you, and the others will be back next week.